Cayman, BVI, Jersey, Mauritius, Guernsey. These are all destinations for so-called offshore funds. And in these modern times, some might suggest they have a less than salubrious reputation. But what's the real story? Let the insider fill you in. Oh hey, and if you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. So let's talk about the big reason folks object to the offshore thing. Tax. It's a complicated topic and we won't pretend to be able to cover the ins and outs of it here, but fundamentally, you don't pay tax in offshore funds, right? Right. But that's also true of funds in places like the UK and the US. Investors generally only pay tax when they receive the profits. That's true whether it's onshore or offshore. So what about secrecy? Well, if the taxman only hits me when I get my profits back, maybe I'll just keep the money offshore and he'll never know. Yeah, not so much. Wind the clock back to the early 2000s or earlier, and that was more of a thing. Offshore fund profits might have been moved to offshore bank accounts as an untaxed piggy bank, essentially. Sure. I mean, that's shady, but sure. These days, however, nothing is secret, and your sunny offshore islands have been convinced into sharing details of your naughty offshore money with your friendly local tax authority, who, by the way, will be super interested to chat to you about why you haven't mentioned it on your latest tax return. So, with the dodgy tax advantages of offshore funds in the past, what's left and why do offshore funds still exist? There is an important but perhaps non-obvious point, which is flexibility. Small offshore jurisdictions have historically been very responsive to the needs of PE firms and have quickly developed new legal structures which might fill certain specific requirements, which are helpful in various ways. Different variations on the limited partnership, which we'll cover in another video, are a good example. Combine this with regulators who can also tailor their regulation rapidly to an evolving market, and you start to get a sense of why PE funds go offshore. Some have criticised offshore regulators for being a little bit too cosy with the industries they seek to regulate. And let's be honest, the fines and consequences for slip-ups or missteps with offshore regulators are somewhat more limited than they would be for big bad industry regulators in Europe or the US. Ultimately, do you want to get in trouble with the Jersey Financial Services Commission or Germany's BaFin? I know which one I'd choose. So there you have it. The reason you thought offshore funds existed isn't really the reason. Offshore investment structures, though, well, that's another video topic right there. If you found the video useful, please remember to like and subscribe.